Welcome to the Call Me Successful podcast. Bec Turner, welcome to Call Me Successful.
Hello, welcome. Thank you.
How did you go? You spoke today.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and how were the nerves?
They're up there a little bit.
You've spoken a few times now and you're starting to start really ramping up your public speaking and your social media and your acting, as you were saying before. Do you think it's doing a good thing for your career?
Look, I mean, I've been pushed along the way quite a few times to step outside of my comfort zone. So, this has been really uncomfortable for me. But look, definitely over the last 12 months, I think, once you do it once, it gets easier from that. Mm-hmm. So definitely it does get easier. And, I'm definitely not as shy in front of the camera now. I've even jumped on and done a few podcast sessions, things like this. So it gets easier as you go.
What are your main points from your speech today? If people that couldn't be here.
Yep. So I spoke about growth in the business. So not only growth, about the numbers, but I also spoke about my journey and how I've grown as a person. So as I said, I'm here presenting today. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't catch me dead doing that 12 months ago.
Yep.
So I spoke about that, but I think, as you grow as a person, that's what also helps you become quite successful in the role that you're doing.
Yep.
So I shared my journey over the last 4 years with Ray White and showed basically what I did to have signed over 1,600 managements in the last 4 years.
So if my math's correct, that's 400 a year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What is the secret there? That is unbelievable numbers. And you're growing, well, Ray White AKG is the fastest growing, isn't it, in Australia? And you're one of the spearheads behind that.
Yep.
Can you give me a bit of insight? What's the secret sauce?
Secret sauce, no secret sauce, is literally pick up the phone and speak to people. But look, I think in property management, it is a relationship game. Mm-hmm. So, if you're building relationships with people, naturally over time, those relationships progress further and further. Also showing value. So I spoke today about people that I work with. So I work with buyers agents and referral partners. I show them value in our services and what we do and what we have to offer by basically giving them my time, sharing market insights with them, preparing rental appraisals for their clients for properties that they're looking at purchasing. So these things obviously take time out from my day, but because I've built those relationships with them, we've got this constant referral of properties that are coming through. But obviously not only just that, but having a really good sales team, which we have fantastic agents that work with us. So leveraging from that as well, building really strong relationships with your agents so that way they want to share their clients and leads and contacts with you.
How has your role developed over the last 4 years? Obviously, I imagine you've been on the phone more in your previous years to now. So how's that developed?
Look, I still do get on the phone a lot, but when I started, it was literally all me. And I was the one doing all of the groundwork, out there signing, meeting clients, doing everything. I was running 1,000,000 miles an hour, very, very long days, but I was getting the results. With that, it did kind of catch up on me a little bit, and I shifted my mindset. I was like, you know what? It actually is okay to have help come in. So that's when we did have an assistant come on board. So it has obviously taken a little bit of time and a few nudges away along the way from RV and Rach and the leadership team there and, believing in myself and, being a leader. So definitely my role over the last couple of years, I've come on board, built it from the beginning to, running a team now, having other BDMs under me, but also growing them as well. So, getting them more comfortable and confident, getting them more numbers so that way they can basically grow and excel in their careers as well.
How do you think you'd be a successful leader in the PM world? What's your secret to that?
I think you've got to have determination, but I also think that you do have to be a people person. In property management, it's not an easy game. So I've actually spent 20 years working in the real estate industry. Mm-hmm. Literally fresh out of school. So I've seen and experienced many different things. But I think, if you let things get to you, you're not going to survive very long in this industry. Yep. I like to think that I'm a pretty, easy go with the flow kind of person. But I also always have very good mindset, or I don't know, I don't really bring any negative, I hopefully, I don't think. But I try not to bring any negativity into the office or, if I'm having a bad day or anything like that, I just basically leave that at home, come into the office, get on with my job and go home and deal with it later.
Well, I think I've worked with you quite personally, obviously, and you're always quite happy and laughy. And, if you're feeling like shit, you tell me. You're like, I don't want to be on camera today.
I know. We did it the other day. I think I had like 4 hours sleep. I was so tired, but I showed up and I got it done.
Yep.
And I was actually pretty impressed with
You nailed it.
what
You're on the big
out.
screen and you're like now a famous superstar with all the ads.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Do you think social media is important for property management?
I definitely do think so because, it's like sales as well. You're putting yourself out there, but I think with property management, and this is what we are starting to see a lot more of a trend, and I have realised myself as well, I was very shy, never got in front of a camera, and I didn't want to put myself out there, but I think, people like that connection, people often, landlords as well, when they're looking to change agencies, I know they do their research. Have a look around, see what the local competitors are, see how they present themselves online. So I do think that your social presence in property management is very, very important.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just don't know where to start looking. It's like, where do I look? And then all of a sudden something pops up in front of them. They're like, oh, I didn't have to search it and go through 100 different people to look at it. Like, there's Bec again. That's right. Maybe I'll just go with Bec.
Yeah, and that's what I spoke about today in my presentation that, when we first started, our profile over the last few years has absolutely, gone crazy, especially having you guys media team on board as well. So we are getting more and more out of our comfort zone. I know when I actually first started, I don't think Ivy actually knows this, but when I did first start with Ray White Marston, I actually did follow these guys online for a little while and, I was watching and seeing what they were doing as a business, how they performed. And I was like, you know what, these actually look like a fun group of people to work with. So that was actually part of the reason why I did join the team. So I know landlords do the same thing. They're looking out there and they're looking, how are people presenting properties online? How are they showcasing things and how do they present themselves?
Yeah, good point. Like part of my speech today was there's really two main audiences, and for you guys would be landlords and the second one would actually be recruitment, which obviously the recruitment thing was unconsciously happening to you when you're going, oh, it looks fun. Next minute.
Yeah, I did say no 3 times, but
oh, really? Nice.
Even though I was like, I can't have my foot in, and then I was like, no.
Yeah, you're just flirting with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Well, how often are you actually recruiting for AKG at the moment in terms of how many staff do we need a year to?
Oh gosh, so when we started, I think right from the beginning we had 380 properties. So it's actually really cool to see over the years, when we've reached different milestones and gotten different awards and things like that, we've gone from having like this little team of, 5 or 6 people to now filling an entire room. So I think in property management now we have over 40 people, but we're constantly sitting down and working out, okay, obviously we grow at this rate, but we're also looking at hiring at the same time. What we do is people within the business, they might come in and start as an associate or an assistant role or something like that, but we grow them up so that way they can transition into a more senior role there. But we're constantly, having to recruit growth. It's not always just chucking it out up on Seek, but we want people to come on board and work with us who obviously understand our values, who want to align and work the way we do with our processes. So we do recruit, kind of within people who know people.
Yeah. I think we're in a bit of a culture in 2025 and probably the last 5-10 years where people say, 9 to 5, people want progression and 9 to 5 isn't so much what people are after anymore. So what you're saying there is you're like creating a step ladder for people to progress their career, which all of a sudden makes property management a bit more of a sexier role. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Is sexy the right word?
I wouldn't say sexy because there's definitely the unsexy side of things.
Sure.
Going and seeing how some people live. But look, and that's one thing, some of the speakers spoke about it today. Property management, usually has this stigma like, oh, property management, nobody wants to do that. Or, it's a shit kicker's job or something like that.
Sure.
But property management actually is a career and you can have a very successful career out of it. And I believe that, if you're in a workplace that supports you and supports your growth, there is such longevity in that career there.
You can make a lot of money in property management.
You can. Sign a lot of properties, you can.
Why did you go to property management over sales? You'd be a great sales agent as well. Especially in this suit.
Look, as I said, I've been in real estate for 20 years. So I have literally done all aspects of real estate except for selling a house.
Okay.
I actually do get asked from my clients that I work with if I would sell their house. I think there was a period where I was almost thinking about it and considering it. And I was like, I get asked all the time. Maybe I should do it. But look, with property management, I just love, the connection. I love going in and checking out houses, but I also love the relationship with people because they're a long-term relationship. Whereas, you sell a house, that's kind of done. But obviously you continue to grow over that over time. But I don't know, property management's just always had my heart. It has been challenging. There has been times where I'm like, I'm never, ever going back and doing that again. Took a little bit of a break. But as I said, I think if you're happy within the role or you're supported in your workplace, it's a no-brainer.
You've obviously been very successful in it, and it's like continue to boulder and get more and more successful. So what are we up to at AKG? How many properties do you manage? Or the whole team?
Team, we manage 2,700 managements.
2,700. So what's possible, do you think?
Ari wants 5,000.
5,000.
I don't know. There's no end goal. No, keep going. We have a goal. We want to grow by 1,000 managements a year.
Yep.
So, obviously that's not always going to be all organic. There is the possibility for purchases and things like that. But it is really cool to see from where we first started. I remember our first milestone in hitting 500 managements. So it was such a big goal that we had in place. And, 3 years later, we're at 2,700 managements. So there's no end in sight. Just keep going and, keep chipping and reaching those goals.
How do we find the next Bec Turner that can do 400 a year?
I've got that in my team already.
Right. Amazing. So is that one person or is that
No,
many
I've got two. I've got two BDMs in my team. So over the last 6-12 months, my role has changed a little bit. I've stepped back, trying not to sign as many managements a month. I still will do, 20, 30 managements a month. But I'm trying to build the girls, give them the confidence, give them the tools so basically they can mimic and do what I do.
At what point do you call yourself successful? Is it now?
I guess you could say, when you've reached the goals that you set out for yourself. Honestly, never ever would I have imagined that I would be doing this. I literally thought that I would be a property manager sitting behind the desk. I said, property management is a career, and here I am running a team, and I guess you could say that I have been successful and
I would totally
love
agree.
what I do.
Talking on stage, jumping in videos, living the life.
Yeah.
Bec, I look forward to seeing, I can't wait to see what 5,000 properties managed looks like. And I can't wait to see how quickly you get there. So
chipping away, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Good luck for a big year. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'll see you in more videos.
Yes, you will.
Thanks, Bec.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.